The Standard Store Championships are this weekend, and you have a chance to win a Textless Urza Saga. There's promo Monastery Swiss Spears, and there's new promo Shark Typhoons. This is a paper tournament that's coming up, and I'm going to be competing in it. So I am going to be taking a variation of Mono Red Aggro. So these are all cards I own in paper. While I don't think Mono Red is necessarily tier 1, it is a deck I'm most comfortable playing, and I think that has an advantage at tournaments. It's also the one I have the most fun with, and I have all the cards. So let's be honest, that's a big factor in this. If I had all the cards for a full standard set in paper, I maybe would consider taking Boros tokens. I'm just missing too many of them, but Mono Red is the deck I'm going to be taking, and this is kind of the starting points, or I guess the next iteration. We had a little bit more aggressive one, but there's a lot of temporary lockdowns, a lot of aggressively slanted decks. So this is where I'm at in terms of the deck. So I'm going to do a deck tech and then demo a couple games and then have a wrap up of where I think the deck is if I want to make any further changes. So in terms of the creatures of the deck, we still have Heartfire Hero, we have Swift Sphere, we have Slickshot Show Off, Emperor Heart Challenger as all prowessy style get bigger threats. And I'm also playing Charming Scoundrel. So this was an addition that I added in. The Scoundrel helps me shift. So my plan post-board is to become a mid-range deck against some of the more heavy interactive decks with Planeswalkers, stuff like that. This helps me kind of bridge that. It helps me ramp into turn 3 Planeswalker. It can help me draw cards late game, and it can help me just get some extra power. So it's another threat I want to have in that 2-drop slot. I am playing full Forges, or 3 Forges main. I think 3 is a good number. 4, you start getting diminishing returns. It's also not the best draw late game. You want to try to get this going early because it does take some build-up time. And in the late game, they probably stabilized enough. Outside of that, my pump effects, I'm doing 3 Might of the Meek, 1 Bane Splitter. I like this because it's static damage that sticks on. You can also re-equip late game to kind of reconfigure. So you get reuse the Valiant triggers, as well as, you know, if they're killing all your stuff, Mana Sink late game works out pretty well. And then I have Monstrous Rage. That's kind of the pump package. And then I have my burn package of shocks, as well as lightning strikes full in there. The mana base, I have 1 Rockface Village to work with the mice, and then I have 2 Fountain Port. I like this over Foundry because there's a lot of cut downs, there's a lot of cheap removal. To be honest, the 2/2's not pushing like huge amounts of damage. This works really nice with the Foundry token. In the late game, you can just draw cards off your Foundry. You can also just create tokens that, you know, they're incidentally just there. It works better in terms of blocking. You don't really want to trade, like, if you're behind, you don't want to block necessarily with your Foundry. So that's part of the reason there. In terms of the sideboard, like I said, I have a plan to shift up. So I do have an additional land. We do have a Foundry in the side. So for the longer games, I'll bring in 1 additional land. We're 22 main, 23 with this in the side. I have 2 Sunspine links for like domain, not so much for the damage because they play a lot of basics, but for the anti-life gain. And then against the greedier decks, we have Sunspine to deal some damage. We have 2 Cots and then 2 Jayas, just differentiating our Planeswalker threats. So that kind of lets me shift up. I can also bring in a lot of just removal that's relevant for the matchup. Torture Tower for more aggressive decks. This exiles as well. Scorching Shot for the bigger, like, scaled creatures, good against Shieldred, stuff like that. Really like Obliterating Bolt right now in the format. Preachers, Archangels, Aclazots. With Aclazots, it exiles, so it does some good work there. And then Tectonic Hazard for kind of the Convoke style strategies. That's kind of my deck. That's where I'm at. Like, these numbers could be tweaked. We're going to play some games. I really want to just see how this performs. If this doesn't work, then I would just end up going back up one of these, back up a Bane Splitter, and then put Squee in the spot. So I'll have the wrap up with my thoughts on how the Scoundrel ended up performing in some games that we play. So I will see you in the games. Alrighty, jumping into a match. So more than anything, I want to see how the deck plays out. Wins and losses or whatever, I want to see just making sure we're competitive enough. So a hand like this, it's a bit slow, I think, on the draw. We don't have a lot of recurring damage. I think this hand's probably better. We'll keep this. I think we're putting back a Might of the Meek. Is my plan. I put back Fountain Port. Could be wrong. Okay, so this could be Convoke, could be Boros tokens. It's Convoke. I'm gonna wait for them to kind of play out their turn. I'm gonna kill this now. We do probably plot Slick Shot. They could have Case as their removal. The one thing with this matchup, like, they don't go as wide with 1/1s anymore. They have like a lot of 1/2s. So the Tectonic isn't as clean. I used to play Vampire's Vengeance in the mono red decks. Could have Helix. Question is, do we just want to get Forge going? Could be a line. Just get that going sooner. Guess the alternative is Heartfire Hero. And just try to draw some cards. I think we're gonna put this one here. This doesn't get the power boost anyways. So we have another Slick Shot for next turn, so I think that's gonna be the base of our turn. Because with Slick Shot, then I can just get it in, depending on what they target. We also have some value there. I could get this up to 3. So even if they go like Imidane's Recruiter, I can block something well here. It's like... the fact that it was Novice, like they're churning through these, it's good and bad. Like there's less fodder for Gleeful Demolition. We got Slick Shot, and then we target our Heartfire Hero. Even if they triple block, we get some utility there. Let's see what... this turn, we're going to play it out. Let them go to blocks here. Strike's nice because it's basically lethal in the air. I don't think they can kill us this turn. The Imidanes. Alrighty, well, not quite lethal. Almost. Okay, so that was pretty close. So in this matchup, I don't think we want Sunspine. Torch Tower's good. Hazard's good. And then I usually will bring in Bolts. I think the Bane Splitters can go. Monstrous is probably fine. I think we want to get rid of the Scoundrels. It's interesting here because like our line, we have a couple options. So I do think we trim on some of the Might of the Meeks. I do like having the removal. We have less pump effects. So I do think we potentially... Like we still have all our burn, which I like. The question is, do I just go Jaya or Koth? Koth could present more. This presents me blockers. I think this is more of a Jaya matchup. And I think it is getting just rid of Monstrous Rage. Might be just 2 Monstrous Rage down on the play, like the draw here. And then maybe we play Koth as well. Like just more interaction. Let's run it like this. Okay. Oh. Usually lands are needed. I think with this hand, we're going to be playing from behind, so I don't think I want Forge. I could plot Slick Shot. Could have Lightning Strike. They probably have... Okay, so they do have an effect. I think we just do this defensively. We do get to use the mana there. Plotting could have been right, because we couldn't activate it anyways. Might have been right, either to plot or... I don't think we're in the position to race right now, so I'm just going to hold my removal up. See what they do in terms of killing something. So I think like that turn 2 line, we had a couple different ways to play it out. Like they could have Imidanes. Or what's the flash one? I think we're just playing defense here. Or have this bait out the removal. So that's actually fine. Because I want to be able to trigger my Ember Heart and my Heartfire hero. Okay, so they did get Case. A little annoying there, but not the end of the world. Ah, they got Gleeful. So that will trigger the Case the subsequent turn. I think we need to try to hit a land here. We have 2 tries. Land. Yeah! Get wrecked. That was a good hit. That was a good hit. So use these maps because it triggers the Valiant without us having to commit. I think I want a threat just in case they draw more removal. So that's 10, 11, 12, 13, so not quite lethal. Yeah, opponent's flooding pretty hard. All right, on the board, mono red. Pivoting plan worked out pretty nice. We'll see you for the next one. Jumping into another one. Do we think Black Demon is playing mono black? I think this hand's fine. Interact on 1, plot on 2, Scoundrel, potentially make it work. So Boros tokens. So this is one side where like play with fire, we lose some value. Don't want to play into open mana. Fine. Have the answer with Virtue. I think here I want to see... We have Emberheart as a follow-up. Like I could push a bit more damage, but I think... we hold off. It gets me 4 damage, which isn't enough to kind of push it over the top. This is definitely a matchup where we want to see our forges. Okay, so they have the Get Lost. That's fine. Let's see what we hit here. Don't want strike. I do think here it's a use it or lose it situation. They have the removal, they have it. Okay, second Get Lost. Okay, so this is the mono white version of the deck. A little bit different. They play these for scry effects. To get lost in their top is a little unfortunate. Okay, so we do a slick shot here. They might be maining lockdown, so... Do you think we want to do this? We are going to have to kill that this turn. The Meek doesn't do anything. I'm doing it on their turn because they're already kind of incentivized to try to get a... Let's see what they do here. If they activate it, then I'm going to take out the... gonna kill the token here. I guess I get to draw a card. I should have waited for them to activate. Drawn a lot of lands. We do want to find our forge. If we could find our forge, we can probably outpace them, but it's going to be hard. With them having, you know. I think here we're just gonna discard a card and draw, try to find some action, just more lands. Kind of all in. They have the sweeper, they have the sweeper. I can't really play around it at this point. That attack suggests to me that they have it. Or it could just be setting up Virtue. Yep. Alright. I mean, it's tough when they draw, like, their two of their main cards in their opener. So this is a mono white version. The links aren't going to do a huge amount. I do think we want our bigger plan. Tectonic Hazard might be reasonable here. Now they're probably bringing in lockdowns, so we might want this as well. This could just incidentally deal some damage. They might be on Beza. Actually, the mono white version's on 4 Bezas. So I do think we get rid of the mites here. And probably the... like, trim a couple lightning strike. From the Bane Splitter. It's interesting because the thing is, like, I'm getting rid of some of the Valiant cards. So the question is, like, I think we get rid of the Heartfire heroes. Because, like, this still gets bigger from just prowess threats, which is fine. Maybe not the Sunspine. Just play the 1. Shock's just more mana efficient, so getting it off that is a little bit better. This matchup's tough. The mono, like the Boros one, probably a little bit better. Okay, well, double forge is good. Because we're not guaranteed the land. I want to get this going. This is why Scoundrel helps. Our hand would have been a lot less playable. So really want another land. We can get it, we're in a good spot. We have Monstrous Rage as well that we can get going. Like, Lockdown doesn't do too much here. So if I play this out, They block the flyer. So they take 1, they're at 11, or they're at 12. That's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So it's like 1 short. I guess maybe I should, because it just forces them into the temporary lockdown. Yeah, so we ended up missing a point of damage. Hopefully it doesn't come back to bite us. I mean, it's just about pushing damage through. Yeah, so we actually had lethal. We should still be okay. They need to gain life, answer our board, and deal with that in hand. Good start, good start. We might want Torch. Probably not. This Lynx isn't gonna... So it's like, the Beza gains them life. But I think it's probably just like play another low-cost creature, maybe. Could do Bane Splitter. Could just do another Lightning Strike. Because like this isn't attacking into much. They ground up the board so much, and we're kind of trimming on our pump. At least this lets me interact a little. If I need to, I can double up against like a Beza. This can target a Eternal Wanderer. Alright, give me some forges. Give me some forges. I mean, I think we keep this. A bit slow. So a spear would be nice here. Okay, Scoundrel's good. I think we go Koth next turn. Forces a get lost, but it also fixes our mana. Because then I can do Jaya, I can do Monstrous Rage, there's just a lot more flexibility. Only downside is if they have something like Beza, I can't kill it. Might just make a token here. So like I can do the Forge. Our mana is just a little awkward. I do want to try to kill both of these to ultimate it next turn. I think we hold back. Because if I could get the ultimate off. Then we're cooking. And this is what I like post board. They do get us down. Not quite ult yet. But now we start threatening with Jaya as well. And we have this shock that can deal with Evangelist. So that's normally a scary card. They do get a draw here, which is a little annoying, but... So, Ultimate Koth here. Play a land. Get a monk token. Should have done this pre-combat, because if they have Elspeth Smite... Yeah. So I should have done it pre-combat, because the damage wouldn't have happened. So, a little bit of a misplay there. We are pretty solid. We're insulated against a lot of removal, so Beza is a pain. However, so choose target creature an opponent controls. Whenever you attack this turn, Jaya deals the damage equal. I think here we just target there, because now they're kind of forced into dealing with a couple different threats. So we're able to beat Beza there. Second Beza. Sure. Might have been right to kill this to draw a card. Fish here. I think we're making a fish. So we can exile. I can get rid of Beza, but it's not like the best, all things considered. Scorching Shot sick. I probably shouldn't have played that out, so the question is... Probably just push. because I can block here. Surprised they kind of took that line. Yeah, the Virtue with offense defense is going to be pretty scary. This is why I prefer the Fountain Ports. So they're at 12 life. Another lion's not what we want. That's 9. So we could play Foundry. And apply the Wicked roll. We're just trying to find gas. Okay, Rage is great. Do get card draw here. It's a really interesting game. So I think... Okay, so how do we do this? I just put Monstrous Rage there. It goes... So it's effectively 4. 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I think that's just lethal. Got him! Planeswalkers! That was just like a beautiful demo of what the Planeswalkers can do in this deck. We had one thing we did miss, and I actually just didn't even think about it. We got rid of the Mishra's Foundry. The game was going so long. We actually had the Koth. So instead of playing the Mishra's Foundry, I had 4 damage here that I forgot about. That could have taken out the token. So that's something to remember when you're kind of going through here, that the lions are dealing damage as well. But Forge, Jaya, Koth all presented really strong angles of attack. We bet like multiple tokens over multiple kind of turns. All in all, this was sweet deck. Let me know what you think, how you're playing the deck, and or kind of what you're taking to the event, and I will see you in the wrap-up. Wrap-up time! So I'm 8-4 with like all these different variations that I've been trying thus far. I was playing a bit like on mobile as well. You could see kind of my play history. So if you're ever curious, seeing like what I've worked on, what's kind of worked, kind of the evolution of decks, I like keeping it like this so we can see what things changed over time. You can see like the cases. I think with all the get lost stuff like that, it's just easier for them to interact with, where Forge is just a lot stronger. When it's more black based removal, then case tends to be a little bit better because they can have things like a braid. That's something to kind of consider all things. But took down a very aggressive deck, took down a very controlling deck like we saw in the video. I think the addition of the Scoundrel was really nice. It kind of smoothed out our draws. It helped us ramp that one game when we missed the land drop. I think the Planeswalker package post board with the extra land felt pretty solid. We are like trimming on the number of targetable spells. So I do think against like the mono white decks, the Boros kind of anything that's, you know, playing that token strategy, cutting the Heartfire hero for the bigger package makes more sense. It just doesn't do much in this deck when you're taking out a bunch of the spells. So something like Hired Claw could be reasonable. It doesn't have haste, but this has bigger upside game one, and against some of the creature mirrors, I just think the token deck does so much in terms of gumming up the board. It's hard to kind of play that element, especially with like temporary lockdown, stuff like that. It has exile effects, Sunfall, so you lose some of the viability in terms of what it does. I may still be on 2-2 split between this. The trample is nice against a lot of these token decks, especially with the prowess effects. The card draw just helps smooth out, but Mirren being more of a recurring, you know, just having your slick shots be 3-2s always is pretty nice. So that might be something to consider as we kind of go on, but Forge's main continue to carry. The removal package is nice. Fountain Port did a hell of a job in that other game against Boros, so I think I like this. This is probably what I'm locked in with. But if you have any suggestions, let me know in the comments. And let me know what you're going to be taking to the event if you're playing. Hopefully we all come home with Urza's sagas to talk about. Have a great one. Stay safe out there.